Hello children, how are you? Hope good. This is Shahab Khan and I'm back with my new video on my YouTube channel Urban Learning Way UL Way. We had started the scene 2 of Act 1 in the previous video and we had studied up to the point where Cassius and Brutus begin their conversation. And what we had studied? We got to know that Julius Caesar had absolute authority over Rome. Whether it was Casca, Cassius, Brutus, Antony, everyone obeyed him without asking any question. They did not ask any question. Whatever was ordered by Julius Caesar, it had to be obeyed. So he had total control over Rome. What else we got to know? We got to know about the arrogant nature of Julius Caesar. The way he dismisses the soothsayer was a show of pure arrogance. It was pure arrogance on Caesar's part. He did not bother to ask even the basic question as to what was the nature of danger. He just dismissed him as someone who was out of his senses. See, power intoxicates one's mind at times to such level that you feel that you are invulnerable to any kind of threat or danger, which is never the case. Human beings are always vulnerable, whether it's the most common citizens or the mightiest of human beings, mightiest among the human beings. I mean, they are always vulnerable to anything can happen to them anytime. But Julius Caesar, with so much of power at his hand, at his disposal, he felt like no danger could touch him, nothing could happen to him, and so he dismisses the soothsayer. And this arrogance was the reason that led to the downfall of Julius Caesar. So I'll start the text now. I'll start from line number 32. Thus, I do observe you now of late. I am not from your eyes that gentleness and show of love as I want to have. You bear too stubborn and too strange a hand over your friend that loves you. Brutus, be not deceived. If I have veiled my look, I turn the trouble of my countenance merely upon myself. Veiled I am of late with passions of some difference, conceptions only proper to myself, which give some soil perhaps to my behavior. But let me therefore, my good friend, be grieved, among which number Cassius be you one, nor construe any further my neglect than that poor Brutus with himself at war forget the show of love to other men. So what does Cassius say? Cassius says that to Brutus that of late he has observed that he has been less friendly in his attitude towards him than he used to be. Brutus was a man who showed emotions and who showed affection, but of late he has been reluctant to do so. As a matter of fact, he has been at times rude and unfriendly towards a friend that loved him, and the friend is Cassius. Only he's referring to himself only. Brutus replies that Cassius should not be fooled by looks and behavior, which are venting their emotions at himself and not at Cassius. His outward looks and outward demeanor are trying to vent their emotions at himself, but it is getting reflected in other ways. It was because his feelings and emotions were troubling him so much that he had been unable to control his outward behavior. You have to note here that Brutus was a very honorable man. At least as per the text of Julius Caesar Shakespeare, he was the noblest man in the whole of Rome. He was the most honorable man in the whole of Rome. And he was a man with an impeccable reputation. Okay, impeccable reputation. To have that kind of a reputation, there has to be some basis. Brutus was a man whose conduct, both at the personal level and when it came to public matters, was without blemish. His conduct was totally flawless. And there was a change in behavior which Cassius had noticed. And that is what he was speaking to Brutus about. Brutus says that because he considered Cassius to be a good friend should not be bothered by such behavior. He advises him sort of like, he says that Cassius should consider that Brutus was at war with himself, and so he is not what he was. That means he is not what he used to be. Okay, when things get better, when things change, things come back to normal, Brutus will also be normal. Okay, see here you have to keep in mind that when a person is on weak emotional ground, that means psychologically he is in a state of turmoil, it is very easy to take advantage of him. He becomes most vulnerable at that point in time. Cassius knew that Brutus was being troubled by some inner conflict, and he had an inkling, an idea as to what that trouble was. Okay, and he was trying to take advantage of this situation. And what advantage? He wanted Brutus to be on the side of the conspirators. We have seen that there is a section in Rome which wants Caesar out of the throne, out of the position, the power that he has. Okay? And as such, they are planning a conspiracy against him. And Cassius is the leader of that planning. Cassius is the leader of the conspirators. And Cassius already has many senators on his side, but he wants Brutus to be on his side. And that he sees this as an opportunity to have Brutus on his side. And it's very obvious why he wants Brutus to be on the side of the conspirators. Because Brutus, as I just explained, Brutus was so honorable, considered so honorable, so noble, that whatever he did, that would be considered the right act. Whatever he did would be considered the right act. Whatever he did would be considered an act done for the betterment of Rome, for the good of Rome, for the dignity of Rome, and everything would be accepted. Their behavior, their action, not behavior, their actions would be accepted as something which was done for general interest. And that is what Cassius was trying to do, trying to bring Brutus onto the side of the conspiracy, make him a part of the conspiracy. Okay, that would make everything legal and acceptable in the eyes of the public. Cassius, then Brutus, I have much mistook your passion by means whereof this breast of mine hath buried thoughts of great value, worthy cogitations. Tell me, good Brutus, can you see your face? Brutus, no, Cassius, for the eye sees not itself, but by reflection, by some other things. Cassius, and it is very much lamented, Brutus, then that you have no such mirrors as will turn your hidden worthiness into your eye. That you might see your shadow, I have heard, where many of the best respect in Rome, except immortal Caesar, speaking of Brutus and groaning underneath this age's yoke, have wished that noble Brutus had his eyes. Brutus, into what dangers would you lead me, Cassius, that you would have me seek into myself? Cassius says to Brutus that he has really misunderstood his actions and has been unable to interpret his behavior, because of which he has not been able to speak to Brutus about things which he wanted to talk to with Brutus. He had certain things on mind about which he wanted to discuss with Brutus, but he has not been able to do because he had doubts as to what kind of man Brutus had become. Now he says that he has misunderstood. It was only because something personal, something internal which has been troubling Brutus, and that was the reason for the change in behavior. Cassius asks Brutus a question. Good Brutus, tell me, can you see your face? Brutus replies the very obvious, that eyes cannot see one's face unless it is in the form of a reflection. See, Brutus, it seems, had a good knowledge of physics. He knew the laws of reflection and reflection and all, the Snell's law and angle of deviation, angle of emergence, perhaps, right? Brutus says that no eyes can see one's own face unless it is in the form of a reflection. You have to see the art of conversation showed by Cassius here. The way he converses with Brutus is very important here. The way he converses, the way he talks to Brutus shows his communication skills, and he uses it to create advantage, to touch the raw feelings of Brutus and mold his feelings to suit his own needs. He molds the raw feeling. He uses his conversation skill, communication skill to mold the raw feeling of Brutus to suit his own needs. Cassius molds the raw feeling of Brutus to suit his own needs. No, they were not mature. Whatever Brutus was thinking, as we'll see, it was not mature. He was just having thoughts. It was disturbing, but it has not been made mature. Cassius is going to do that. Cassius molds the raw feeling of Brutus to suit his own needs. Cassius says to Brutus that it was so bad that he does not have any mirrors which would reflect and show to Brutus what he was. Cassius says that he had heard that many people in Rome, when they speak, many people in Rome, excluding Caesar, when they speak about the sad state of affairs, they speak of Brutus. And what was the sad state of affairs? The sad state of affairs was that Rome was being governed in an inefficient way. And why talk of Brutus when people talk about the burden of current financial government? Because Brutus was considered so honorable, so noble, that people thought, that is what Cassius was trying to convey to Brutus, that he was considered so noble, so honorable, that people considered him a savior. He was one who could set things right. You can almost like a Superman. Please don't draw that analogy, okay? Superman analogy you don't have to draw. Just came to mind, which it should not have come like. So Brutus was considered so honorable, so noble, that he was considered a savior for the Brutus. And Cassius says, if you see the kind of praise that is being heaped upon Brutus, any normal person is going to get affected by that. And the kind of psychological turmoil that Brutus was in, it was very likely to affect him very much. And Cassius knew that and was doing it on purpose. Cassius says that people wanted Brutus to see the rot in the system. People wanted Brutus to see the rot in the system, and Brutus being so honorable, so noble, they expected Brutus to set the things right, remove the rot in the system. Brutus himself was a wise man, and his dialogue here shows an amount of fear and suspicion as to what Cassius was trying to lead him into. He asked Cassius, what was he trying to lead him into? Cassius, therefore, good Brutus, be prepared to hear, and since you know you cannot see yourself so well as by reflection, I, your glass, will modestly discover to yourself that of yourself which you yet knew not of. And be not jealous on me, gentle Brutus, where I a common laughter or did use to stale with ordinary oaths my love to every new protester. If you know that I do fawn on men and hug them hard, and after scandal them, or if you know that I profess myself in dankering to all the root, then hold me dangerous. Cassius tells Brutus that he should listen to what he was saying, as he himself had said that he needed a mirror to see his reflection. Cassius says that he would become the mirror that would show what Brutus was. He said that he would be the mirror that would be very humble in showing what Brutus was, reflecting to Brutus what Brutus was. He said that he would reveal everything to Brutus. Okay, and he says that Brutus should not be suspicious of what Cassius was trying to say, because he knew who Cassius was. Cassius says that Brutus knew that he was not a man like a jester who would go around everybody and trying to make them happy by telling good things about to them. He was not the one who went about making friendship with everyone. He was not the one who would praise someone when they were with them, and the moment they turned their back, when the moment people left him, he would start backbiting. He was not that kind of a person. Okay, and he was not the one who would make friends with anyone and everyone. That was not the nature of Cassius. What Cassius was trying to do here was he was trying to sound genuine to Brutus, to create the right impact. People do get influenced when they feel that a genuine person has communicated the idea or thought, or when a genuine idea or thought has been presented to them. Here Cassius was trying to present both himself as well as his idea and thoughts to be genuine, so that he is able to make the right impression on Brutus and have Brutus on his side. See, Cassius is cunning and wise, and is wise with words. His communication skills are very great, as we have seen, okay, which is a very important aspect of his character. So we'll continue with this dialogue in the next video. So that's it, children, for today. I hope you have understood the things well. If you have any doubts, you can post it in the comment section. Keep watching, keep liking, and keep subscribing to my channel. Thanks for watching the video.